Hello, happy Metaphysical Monday. I'm so glad you're here. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about intuition and how to, not really how to get started, but how to notice it and what it looks like. So, if you're new here, my name is Melissa, and every Monday I post a video on a metaphysical topic. And I also do zodiac tarot readings on the new moon and the full moon. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check that out. The description box below will have a link for you. But let's get started in talking about intuition. What does intuition look like, feel like? What you can do, kind of? I mean, there's really no set rules and guidelines on how to become intuitive, how to harness your psychic abilities. And there's, a lot of kind of gimmicky stuff out there. And I haven't decided what to title this video yet. So the title might be a little gimmicky like that, but it's not a hard and fast set of rules or guidelines or steps to take. Everybody's different. Everybody's individual. Everybody has a different starting point. There are a lot of people who are just kind of born a little bit more sensitive to those energies, and there are some people that it takes a lot of work. So it's a spectrum of where you're beginning when you decide or understand where you're at, or where you decide to begin this journey. So what I would like to start with is, this is really all going to be like what I've experienced personally and what I've maybe heard from other people or have discussed with other like-minded individuals. But for me personally, I believe everybody has the ability to be intuitive. I believe it is within everybody's abilities to access higher communication, higher knowledge, and there's different perspectives on where that comes from, if that's angels or guides or your deceased relatives, that kind of stuff. Like it varies depending on who you talk to, where they feel that information is coming from. And honestly, I'm really open to the possibility that it could be all of the above. Maybe people individually decide who they want to communicate with, and that's where they get their insights from. But here's what it feels like for me. So if you ever zone out, you're just like staring off into space, but you're completely fully aware of what's going around. So if that's ever happened for you, it kind of feels like that, where if you're just kind of, I call it like zoning out, like you're just like literally fixed on a point, but you're not really looking at any particular thing, but you're just like fixed in that point and you're just staring. You're fully aware of everything that's going around. You can completely communicate with people, but you just can't take your eye off of that point. It feels a little bit like that. So it's kind of like it's being aware of everything, but being able to focus on something else. That also comes and this is another visual cue that that I kind of can compare it to, as far as putting it into words, having something that maybe you've experienced that can relate for you. So another thing also is that's more of an awareness of your surroundings, right? Staring off into a point and kind of getting your eyes stuck in that point, but being completely aware, that's just awareness, right? Then there's more specifically visual. So if you like, you can see things out of your peripheral vision, right? Like you know what that is. You can see, like, I'm looking at my phone right now talking to you guys, but I can still see out the window next to me, but not really seeing out of it, but I can see my hand waving next to my head right here, right? Peripheral vision. So if you think about it this way, you can be looking at something and then your eyes are pointed this way, but you're actually watching, focusing on whatever is in your peripheral vision. I do it with my kids all the time. If you're in a situation where you want to watch someone, but you don't want them to know you're looking, and you just kind of, you're looking at something else, like you're reading a book, but you're totally paying attention only to what's going on over here in your side view. So it's kind of like that as well. So a lot of times I get audio cues and I get visual cues, right? Visual cues for me are not it's not an image that like I could see with my eyes. It's kind of like having a memory pop into your head. So it kind of relates to that, and that's the best way I can put it into words to compare it on how it feels to kind of to see something, right? So it's like you can be completely having an everyday conversation, but then there's a visual cue that comes in that you can pay attention to. So if you've ever been in a conversation where you completely have no recollection of what the person said, or they're like, are you even listening? You know, like you're having a conversation with somebody, you're even speaking to them, but you're thinking about something else. It feels like that. And I'm not saying that's intuition. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it feels like that. Okay. So what I would consider an actual intuitive hit that would compare to would be your you're thinking about something, or you're hearing something, or hearing music or a song, or doing something, and it's kind of like a memory pops in your head, right? But it's not a memory. It's kind of like a deja vu feeling, but it feels like a memory. If you've ever been doing something and a memory just put like, this reminds me of this, and it's something that you've gone through, that you know that you've gone through it, you remember doing this. It's like that, but it's not something that you've done. It's not something that you've actually seen, but that's what it feels like. It feels like reliving something, but it's not something that you've actually lived. There are other people involved. Or when I'm reading cards, I that's the main way I get intuition while I'm reading the cards, is they will give me an actual memory of mine. If I'm struggling to find words to explain what I'm seeing in the cards, they'll give me a memory of my own. There was a reading I did not too long ago where the cards were showing something about being youthful, and it had, I think it might have been the Page of Cups, and a memory actually came to me. Like it was a cue for me to say, like, you remember when you were in junior high and you're passing notes. The actual visual cue I got was a very specific incident in junior high school where I was passing notes with a friend, and that's how they communicate with me. I haven't put a label. I don't like labels anyways. I haven't put a label on who they is for me. I believe it is most likely a spirit guide that's been with me since birth. I believe that we have spirit guides that come in and out when we need them. We'll have a spirit guide to come in to help us through a certain situation, and then they are no longer our spirit guide. But I also believe that we are born with one that stays with us through our whole life. And a lot of times that can be somebody that you lived through a past life with, or had some kind of special connection to. Our ancestors can come in, people that we knew in this life that were close to us can come in to help and guide us and then leave. They can come in periodically to give us messages as well. But yes, that's my they. That's how they communicate with me. They will either I will get a visual picture of something. Now lately it's because I've been working on it so much. I've been getting a lot of people I don't know, people I've never seen, and I just I have no way of reaching these people or finding these people in it. Like, so that's why I'm here on YouTube, hoping that when I have these messages, I can communicate them with whoever it is will be watching, because they know where my outlet is and where my reach is, and I feel like they're giving me messages knowing that I will not know, but I will be the person who it's meant for will see it. So I just have to have faith in that, and then the divine timing as well. Maybe they may not need to know this right now, but somebody looking back on a video from last month may see something that I had put out that they didn't need to hear until they saw it. So that's how divine timing works. But also, so that's the visual cues that I get. Also audio. I'll say something or be in a conversation and my ears, one or the other or both, usually just one or the other, will just start ringing, and it's more of a yes, you're on the right track. Keep talking about that. And then when I get to the point where I've said what I was supposed to say, the ringing stops. I don't hear voices, but the hearing that I say when I say something like I'm hearing this word, it's not a hearing with my ears. The only actual hearing with the ears that I feel is intuitive is the ringing. I don't hear voices. Like, I can't hear somebody's voice speaking words to me to say to somebody else. That, at least not yet. And I feel like that that is something I will get to. But it's more of words will pop into my head, just like the memory of junior high passing notes will pop into my head in order to help me gain words to communicate what I need to communicate. Words will pop in the head, and that's, to me, is kind of like hearing, because it's words. But sentences, phrases, words, sometimes even memes will just pop into my head. That to me is kind of hearing. It's more maybe technically a claircognizance, a clear knowing, more than it is a hearing, because it's not physically auditory in nature. It's not visual either. I don't see the word. The word just pops in my head. And there's no other way to say it than that. And if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. So I'm trying to think, is there any other way for me to elaborate on how that works? So I occasionally, very, very, very few times, there was an Aquarius video that I remember specifically having abdominal pains. Very, very, very rarely do I get physical symptoms of what I need to convey. But that has happened very, very few times. But yes, like severe abdominal pains. And the only thing I could do is say what it felt like to me. So I'm not going to repeat it. But if you feel like finding out what it was, I didn't want to say it. So it's in a video. That's all I'm going to say. But there are other ways: hearing, sight, feeling, taste, smell. Like I frequently wake up, I don't know why, I still haven't figured this out. I frequently wake up in the middle of the night to the smell of smoke, thinking my house is on fire. This happens a lot, and I will get up and check every room in the house and then go back to bed. One time, very recently, it smelled like sage. It smelled like somebody was smudging in my house. I had to get up, or incense. I kind of went back and forth. And I had to get up and check the whole house. But I don't know what that communication is yet. And like I said, everyone is always growing. There is no intuitive or psychic that has mastered all of the abilities and is completely, like, everyone is always still growing. Like I said, it's a spectrum. Everyone starts at a different point. But I don't feel like there's ever an end to what you're capable of. So, some tips. I want to include some tips if you're trying to work on your abilities. Getting a tool, some type of tool, also called sometimes permission slips, tarot cards being one of them, oracle cards, pendulums, a tool that you can use physically so that you're using your eyes, you're using your ears, you're using your physical senses to kind of bridge that gap between you and your higher self, your guides, whoever it is that you're identifying with as communication. A tool is it's very helpful in the beginning to help you fine tune knowing what that feels like. Because when you don't know how it feels in the beginning, it's hard to differentiate, am I thinking this, or is this being given to me from somewhere else? So having the tool will help strengthen that, and practicing. Of course, meditation would be another tip. Meditation helps you not control your thoughts, but it keeps them from overriding your intuition. So your brain will just constantly be trying to give you information, and meditation will help you focus so that you can tell what is your thought. You know what your thoughts are. So a lot of people complain in the beginning of meditation, when you first start out, it's so hard to quiet your mind. It's so hard to not think. And don't try to not think. Notice the thoughts. That will help you in identifying when you're having a thought or an intuitive nudge from spirit or guidance or whoever. That will help with that. Meditation and knowing that your thoughts are there and knowing what your thoughts feel like, being present in the presence of your thoughts, will help you differentiate between intuition and your thoughts. Intuition is soft and quiet, and your thoughts will try to override that. So meditation will help you identify when you're thinking, and knowing what it feels like. That way, when something comes to you and you're like, wait a minute, I wasn't thinking about that, you can tell the difference. You'll be able to feel it. What other tips to help? Practice. Practice makes perfect. It's hard to read for yourself if you get a tool, if you get tarot cards. It's hard. It's kind of hard to, if you're in the beginning stages and you want to learn what the cards mean. For the most part, I don't use the book unless it's a new deck with different imagery that I'm not familiar with. I will pull the cards first, see what my intuition tells me, and then I will cross-check the book to see if that was correct, just for validation. But it's kind of hard to do that for yourself in the beginning because you aren't really taking your brain out of it yet. So practicing for other people and then asking them how close you got, and expecting that you're not going to be right all the time because you are still practicing. But yes, I think those are my top tips. Meditation is not what you think it is necessarily. You don't want to stop your brain from working, but you want to recognize when a thought is a thought. That will help you differentiate your thoughts from intuitive guidance. And then having a tool to help you practice, which will give them permission to communicate. Giving them permission to communicate is important as well. If you want to consider that tip number 3, telling them, hey, just talking. Guides, I want you in my life. I want you to help guide me through situations. I want you to help me reach other people. Whatever it is that you are interested in learning, getting in touch with your intuition about, whatever your reason is, let them know, hey, this is what I want to do and this is why I want to do it. Please be with me, and I give you permission to communicate. But I guess that will be it for now because we're almost at 20 minutes and I don't want to take up your whole day. So thank you again for watching Metaphysical Monday. Metaphysical Monday with Melissa. That's kind of has a ring to it, right? If you're interested in more videos like this, if you're into crystals, if you want to know your astrological full moon reading, it's in the description box below. And as always, thank you so much for watching and have a blessed day.